Love for our souls. This was another title given to me by my own soul on this edition of Guidance for the Soul Live. And I want to apologize to anyone that has ever been offended by my vision of what a joyful reunion it could have been. So listen, I want to talk nitty-gritty about soul embodiment. It can kick your butt. It can wipe yourself off. Like literally, sometimes you have to come back from the ends of the earth, which is where I was with certain people. Literally, it feels like sometimes you are traveling into another world where you're trying to grasp for whatever love that you can find. That's the nature of what a soul embodiment process can look like. Please reach out to your loved ones if you're going through the process and ask them, are you still having problems with who I am? That's where some people will go with you during that process because they will think that there is some kind of devil or evil, right? This is the grand poobah of all grand poobahs coming through, letting you know that the religious realms, while very much enlightened in their vision for who they are, will often struggle in the mindset of soul embodiment as it has been told to them. There are other visions of strength that are going to come through in the next few years. Most likely some of you are seeing it being played out as a destructive process. It is not for all souls to embody their hearts at this moment. The problem that many are having with the Q vision is that it is seen as less than by the left side of the field of vision, right? You want to know what it is? It is a recreation of a value system that is very much in touch with the nature of what the ancients were looking at in this world to explain their vision. Now, does it hold water? It can if you keep creating from it. We want to talk about that nature of what's showing up on the screens in that viewpoint. This is not a degradation of that soul's vision. It is not a degradation of any being that declares it to be true. What it is a historical analysis of the visions of, well, many things, not just astrology, but that's a big part of it, and they know it. Now, here's the problem with those souls who are using that information that have never delved deeply into the realm of astrology or psychology. You're going to create a destructive vision for other souls that are then going to freak out when they start to hear those visions of love from other members of their families or their friends. Okay? They're going to assume the worst case scenario is coming true. It is a transition in consciousness only. What we have to understand is that the vision of many is that the government is trying to hold us hostage. That is not what is happening. This is not about playing the victim. You don't want to create the vision of consciousness expanding in the mindset of I'm a victim of it. And that's why those souls who are screaming, it's, the devil or it's evil, it's like they're vibrating in that vision of fear or anger, right? And that's the nature of it. So if we were to envision ourselves coming through as love for our own souls, what do you think that vision actually does? It's the blueprint for soul embodiment. Now, what most people don't understand is that others will assume it is of a negative nature because in their hearts, they have aligned themselves in their vision with what they would consider to be a vision of love that is higher than their own heart. So if you feel less than in your mind, What do you think you're going to create when you go, into that vision of on the screen of news? You're going to be starting to look for those validations that the end of the world is coming. We had that already in 2012, right? We had it also in many other time zone. We're going to come to time zones, right? The time zones should tell you something about that nature. Most people will not understand the scarcity of supplies. So I, as a soul, indeed was told not to worry about the pandemic for my own soul and for my loved ones in my household. What I did not count on was the vision of those outside of my household, hoping and praying that my vision didn't come true, right? Do we have a hold on the pandemic in this world? In this country? Not even close. The variants are still here. Does it mean it's the end of how many people are in that vision of the vaccines are going to kill me, and yet they went to the other side already? Okay? It's a vision of love for all souls to try to create with the vision that aligns you with I'm not in fear, or I'm not in the energy of anger towards others. Okay? Now, that's going to be very hard for the majority of us. Now, this is the beauty of it. If you align with your soul and you get that vision of love for it, then you get to hear the beautiful words of wisdom. Other times, if you're in the vision of soul, you may get the scary stuff if that's what you're expecting to hear. I battle my way through those visions that others are placing on me in my mindset sometimes. And that would be because I am also here as a guide. So my vision isn't necessarily what others would hear or experience. So I don't want to plant those seeds of danger for you, right? That's not who I am. This is what we're talking about. What's the reality of where we are in this plane, creating with this vision? Not some other realm, not some other dimension, not some other, violent temper. So there are going to be people who have violent tempers who say, I shouldn't even be mentioning someone's vision because it is labeled as less than or as a deconstructive nature of soul. Okay, I'm not here to, cower in the corner because someone else is so offended with someone else having a different viewpoint. Okay, that's the nature of where a lot of us are going. And it's okay to have those visions of, it's like the disparity of our hearts. So many people have a lot of anger, hatred, jealousy, envy, right? Those visions of sin, right? The sins of the world. They are not of the world. They are only there for those who try to envelop themselves in the vision of it. And that's the nature of love of soul. Most people will start to vibrate in that beauty of their own soul at some point. It becomes very strong. People are still creating those visions of, I've got to create outside of the government in my own mind with that vision. And in essence, we would say, good luck with that vision. If you if you land anywhere outside of the United States, we would say, bless your heart, you're going to have a good time. The majority of those visions of destruction are not just here in this country, but they very much start here in many ways. We have a lot of those visions of paranoia that can come through. It can be the scarcity of supplies that people are worried about. These were the actualities of certain visions. Now, so does this mean that you start to prep for the end of the world? It is a change in consciousness that is going to be scary for some people. They're going to look to the outer realms of understanding to see if they can get the answers in a book. You're not going to find your soul in a book. Guaranteed. You look to those other sources of soul for their visions and their wisdoms. And then you go in and you say, who am I really? Am I really this person that aligns with this other soul who wants to create division in my mind and my soul? Because that's the nature of Jesus, right? So in my heart, I have to align with those visions of souls that are very much condemning of anyone who speaks the name even, right? It's not about that vision as bad of those who are trying to embody somebody else's vision. It's a beautiful expression, and it also lifts them up in various ways. We get taught those teachings in order to imbibe upon them, not just in this realm, but in many other realms. Now, what if you've done those visions on your own? I forgave everybody before I even picked up a book about Christ, right? I don't even use that book. And I did my work on my own. It was what was natural for me to do. I don't want to carry the burdens of anger and hatred into my heart. Now, what happens? I still get angry. I still have my own viewpoints. That's the beauty of soul. You don't give up your heart just because you embodied a vision of love that's very strong for the outer realms of discovery. That's where a lot of those visions lead us, by the way, for that map of enlightenment, by the way. They're looking to the outer realms of discovery versus going into their own vision. All of those symbols are symbols for interdimensional work that most are not going to do. So what they do is they're turning their heads out towards the world to try and find validation for those visions. It is not the way to go. If you can avoid doing that work, please align with your own vision that is more about, I can go in, look at what's happening, see the beauty of who I am without someone else telling me who or what is going to happen, right? You see, there's an awful lot of conflict in the soul level because there are many beautiful visions being created. It's not a bad vision. It's just one that if you're on the path of I want to align with my own soul, you wouldn't necessarily go to that path and say, let me spread the fear of it. Okay? That's the nature of why a lot of those visions of Christians are saying, I shouldn't go to that vision because they're saying my own soul is too scary for me to come into contact with. So therefore, I need to hold myself to that vision of a Christ-centered soul or a Jesus soul or even of that vision of God as only one. You cannot escape it. So those souls who still feel like their Christ soul is somehow going to save them from the vision of unity consciousness has not ever understood the vision of Jesus aligning himself with us to say, forgiveness is given in the moment, but it can be recreated as a division if people assume that it all has to be done on the same plane or at, the time of soul embodiment or whatnot. It doesn't always happen. And we just have those visions of it. You see, I have to deal with certain aspects of soul that I say, I'm not going to hunt you down, but I will hold you responsible for whatever vision that I created. So I hold myself to the vision of what I create, but I also invest in that vision of don't mess with me when I'm in the vision of guidance. You see, as a soul who has been caretaken so carefully because of my nature, I often come through with the visions of love. I sometimes say I'm going to hunt a soul down in the afterlife and hold them accountable for what they've done to me in my mindset here. Literally, it can be that destructive. Okay. And then I have to realign myself and say, yes, I understand. I created this vision where I'm a guide and that I'm, always on. And so I get to hear those visions from those souls that I made upset in this world. And then that vision comes through and says, I'm going to bug you until you forgive me. Do you know how many people keep doing that vision? I can't leave this plane until you forgive me for everything I've ever done, because if not, then my life on the other side is going to be considered crap, right? Or less than. It doesn't work that way. We take off the conditioning of our hearts here and we say, I don't need to create with that vision anymore. I'm done. How many people know that? How many people assume that everyone's here to just forgive everybody? It's not everyone's cup of tea. You don't have to forgive me for bringing you the future, do you? Does it bother you if I tell you that James Dean still aligns with another person in my heart? His vision is he's still the rebel without a cause, right? It's not about the soul of James Dean, but his vision is I'm aligning with her to let her know when his vision's done with that vision of I'm angry at all the souls around me. I didn't hurt her. Okay, so this is not about the soul of James Dean. He did not actually hurt my soul. It can be considered a Jesus soul in his mind. And he would have said, I honored my heart when I went to the other side. I didn't know what was going on in the moment. I thought I was dead, and then I rose into that vision of love that was created for me because of my belief system. And then I got my heart handed to me by my soul that said, here we go. We're going to go through the process of loving yourself while we show you the way. So his vision is your soul will show you the way through the field of dreams that you created when you were here. And then you get to create more and more visions of beauty as you rise to other levels of understanding. So just because I have a soul of a soul as my guide doesn't mean that I always align with the highest of the highest. Those are what people are assuming. They're assuming that if you didn't read all of the books in the world, you wouldn't have access to them. That's destructive visions. Most people don't understand the nature of soul. I have access to all. Therefore, that becomes the vision of it. It means I can be attracting to various fields of development. So sometimes I do get those visions of FBI agents that would want to know what I know. But I'm not going to be a guinea pig for their hearts. Let's put it that way. I do get the vision of alteration of my brainwave energy when it is needed. And that is very much the case, and it would be acknowledged by her when she is in a pickle of, it would almost be like a nervous, meltdown. It's not nervous, it can be, if you're in that vision of destruction sometimes. And the grieving process is strong. If some issue comes up, I'm not going to lie to you people, it's not the easiest thing to do. And then I can feel my soul come to me in my heart and my mind, adjust the vision to be one of love for my heart and my soul, because I don't want to keep creating out of devastation. So if I had that devastation brought to me in the moment, for all those souls who cry out at night in their vision, right? I used to cry at night. That's what I get told by many. Many people who went through this process would lie in bed and cry for their vision of loneliness or lack of understanding from others or the integrity of it. So for me, I'm not there to say that it is easy to do on your own. It can be a destructive process. It can be it's like the Enlightenment era is what we're going to call the next, we call it the few weeks. Okay? Most people want to know, how does it feel to be enlightened and still feel the voice of anger, or some will say evil, coming at you? That's the nature of those projections of telepathy that people are going to start to understand at some point. And the empath energy understands that vision and will understand the nature of collusion with other souls. So other people will say, oh, you're colluding with other visions. Stop trying to take the vision to a joyful one, right? Sometimes these visions are not about the joy of soul, but the joy of love. Okay? I love who I am. What I don't love are the visions of destruction that people send my way. How many of us can understand that vision? I love who I am, but others don't like me. That's the hardest thing for a lot of us soul workers to get through our minds, is that I'm not here to do the guidance for those souls who want to have anger and hatred in their heart always, right? Because there are some souls who are literally always angry. And I had my taste of it for a while. And I said, this is enough. I'm tired of being angry at everybody, right? I was angry at my own heart for what I was being told was the result of some of my work. And in my heart, I was very much, if this vision is not to your liking, please pass it along, right? That's what some do in order to try to take down those visions of love that are not about to be reunited with their hearts. So it's not about saying that these visions are, worse or less than others. Most people who are on the path of enlightenment want to lift themselves up to the beauty of how they themselves become more in alignment with who they really are. That's where your soul comes in and says, Jesus is part of the picture, but not the whole kit and caboodle. Okay? It would literally take a year for most people to get that through their heads. Okay? I don't know what to say to people who don't understand that they're creating with the vision that their soul is less than somebody else's if they don't align with their own heart first. You have to get there first and say, I'm all that and more. I'm beautiful. I'm adored. I'm loved. I'm carefree, right? That's just my nature by heart. I could say the prayers of Solomon, right? I was bringing through those visions of religion. But what I'm not going to do is to try to process other people's visions of soul as if it is somehow superior to the vision of mine. They may have that vision brought through that says, this is what I would say. I would say, honor your hearts, honor your souls, and let's take a break from the vision of destruction. This is what I want us to focus on in the next few weeks. Let's honor our hearts for the values that we hold that unite us in the vision of love versus those visions that divide us. And how many people can say they look to other visions to unite their hearts with others? But what we have to say to ourselves is, why would I do that work with somebody else and not honor it in my own vision? So if I myself am not able to reach the vision of love for a soul, what does that mean? I don't have to like them. I can just say I honor their vision as a soul. What I don't do is I don't sit there and belittle my own vision that says that I'm just as good as anybody else and tell them, oh yeah, this soul over here thinks they're all that and more. That's beauty. That's their soul. What about mine? Does that mean that mine is less than? Just because I didn't what? Come into the history books at the right place and time? That's his soul. It's a moment still creating from that vision. We don't dishonor the vision, but we obviously don't sit there and see eye to eye on what it is that we're all supposed to do. There are plenty of people that ignore that vision of forgiveness. And instead, we hold everyone else accountable for their own visions and try to destroy them on the spot. Right? I can do my own vision of that if I needed to. I don't try to destroy people. I'll go for an issue. Here's the big difference, people. You don't want to take it to the personality vision. You want to aim higher. You want to go to the vision of, if there's an issue that we need to talk about, let's talk about it as if it is an issue versus a character assassination on any one person or being in this world or on the other side. I don't align with those souls who try to take me down or any other soul. This is my vision. If you are, one of those most elite members of society, I can do your soul session. If you are a poverty-stricken soul, I can do your vision. If you are of the highest of the highs in your mindset with religion, I can do your vision. If you are one of those souls that says, I don't even have a religion, nor do I believe in it, I can do your vision. It makes no difference, because in the end, we all come together in that vision of unity, and that is the name of it. So I want to say thank you for your vision of love. Thank you for your vision of joy. Thank you for your vision of peace. We all want to reside in that vision of peace, prosperity, health, and love. And that's the vision of love that I send out to all of you. Take care and have an amazing, amazing day.